All right, now it's time to actually see how we put this whole thing together. So let's head over to the bench. So this is the first build that I did of the Pieca version 2 camera. It has a metal lens mount, a slim design with a hatch for USB storage, an adjustment knob to adjust the sensor depth to calibrate back focus, the same touchscreen and internal Raspberry Pi and high quality camera sensor module, the same tactile shutter button, and a tripod mount. So it's mostly just a mechanical improvement to the Pieca design to allow, it's mostly a mechanical update to the Pieca design to make it slimmer, more portable, more usable, more compatible with different lenses, an iterative update. But this first design went with a superglued this design went with a superglued 3D printed shell, but I have now come across the heat set inserts. This is a test of the heat set insert, and these work really well and will allow me to assemble and disassemble the Pieca camera a lot easier in the future. The old design, I needed to just cannibalize. There wasn't a whole lot that I could save from this design once it was 3D printed, except for the electronics. I scavenged all the electronics. So I wanted to go towards a easy to assemble and disassemble 3D printed shell. So that we get to this new shell. This new one has heat set inserts in the bottom, on the side, to allow the shells to be pulled apart. I've already sanded down the mating connectors, and it's ready to go. So the new design of the Pieca 3D printed shell has one major improvement, and that's this sensor carriage. So in the previous design, it was a fixed sensor distance from the lens mount. In this new version, the sensor can now move back and forth. And that allows me to dial in the flange depth of the sensor to get the correct infinity focus on whatever lens can fit on this mount. So now there are a lot of options. But because of that, we don't need, because of that, I didn't want to just use heat set inserts on the shell. I actually wanted to make the components of this mechanism compatible with the heat set inserts as well. So these have little screws that are going to go down and connect to what I call the sensor back. And this sensor back is going to have a couple of heat set inserts in here, so we can screw this on. This back component attaches to the screw mechanism. So the screw mechanism also has a heat set insert, allowing us to fully assemble the sensor carriage with heat set inserts and no glue. This is nice because this design comes in a couple different parts, and so now that it's using the heat set inserts, if any of the pieces break, I can just replace that part, and I don't need to replace the entire carriage if I had glued it together. So that's just one of the other improvements I wanted to make to this design. All of these print flat. This one does need some supports, as well as this one needs supports on the inside. But most of these print flat, like so. And it just makes printing a lot easy. This one has the tendency to warp a little bit at the edges, so in the future I might add some pads to help stick these thin edges down. Even here you can see it's still a little bit warped, and so hopefully in the future, if I decide to print more of these, that'll be part of the design, is just a pad that sticks to the edge here. So to install the heat set inserts, I've got these these come in all different sizes, but I have a M3 height 4 that I'm going to be using for all of the pieces in this design. So they're a little itty bitty, but those are going to go into, these are going to go into here, and I use a special tool on my soldering iron to set them, and so I'm going to show you that now. So the soldering iron is actually special. It's got this special tip that what you do is you place the heat set insert, and this connects, and so it allows you to keep it straight, and you press down into the 3D printed part slowly until this just reaches below the level. Some people have fancy mechanisms, but I just place them by hand, and they've seem to be doing okay at the moment. So these are going to go in. These are actually reverse mount ones, so they kind of go in like this. So the screw actually comes from behind. Like so. Let's get that in centered so you can see. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab an M3 screw and just double check that these are the right size. I don't want to be, yeah, those look good. Don't want to be installing the wrong size. This print doesn't take too long, but these shells take, this one takes about 10 hours, and this one takes, I think, 6 or 8. So let's get started. So we've got the soldering iron heating up. I just keep it at the same temperature as my soldering, so I don't need to change it, but you can play around with the different temperatures. So here we're going to place and just gently push into the part, try and keep it level. There's that one down. Now that one, what's going to happen is this part goes like this, that, and then a small screw goes in there. And what that allows us to do is the screw rotate and the carriage move back and forth, but this piece doesn't rotate. This just moves back and forth. All right, so that's the carriage pieces done. Now let's start on the bottom. So this one's a little bit more challenging because, as you can see, it kind of wants to tip, so I'll probably need to hold it. Mechanical things for the soldering iron would be very helpful, of just making sure you are always straight up and down. This one might be a little bit more challenging. We don't want to melt the plastic next to the ridge, but we'll try our best. So now that we've got those in, let's just do a little test to make sure everything's lining up again. All right, that's good. We've got the holes at the bottom. We can see the brass inserts. That's good news. Very good news. All right, so let's pull this guy apart. Gentle. These aren't, the bottom ones are quite a bit more structural. These ones at the top, they're going to be a little bit more just for holding the top together. So I just need to be very careful with these pieces. Might go back in and design just like a connecting piece to keep them a bit more straight, but for now, I think they're okay. Okay, that looks good. I inset this one a little bit more than the other ones. because there's quite a tight tolerance here. So I didn't want to mess that up. All right, let's do the other side. All right, well, that's good news. We have heat set inserts for all of our components. There we go. Now let's give them a little test fit. So you'll quickly see why it's necessary to have these heat set inserts, or why it becomes nice to have them, is because you see now those screws are being blocked. So if we can come in from this side, that'll be much better. I'm just going to be using small M3 . So this is going to be a little bit of a thing where I don't want this screw to be so loose that it won't turn. That's better. Oh, but that has a wobble now. Yeah, I think this might just be tight. And see, it slips. So it'll just be tight. Yep, there we go. All right, now let's check. So now we see the mechanism down in there. Let's check. It's a lot tighter than the other one. But it does work. There we go. That's what we want to see. Now let's test fit these screws, but I think most of them look really good. One of the areas that I still have 3D printed thread mounts is in the Raspberry Pi holder in the bottom. These are not built for heat set inserts yet. That's because the why is that not? The Raspberry Pi is a little finicky with its battery management board, and I didn't want to mess that up. I'm worried if I... This has kind of a bowing effect. As I pull out, yeah, a little glue with that, maybe a little, if I file down the part just a little bit more. Should be fine. Yeah, I'll just make sure that this is locked tight in place and it's got a good connection, and I think that should be fine. All right, well, that's it for the Pieca heat set insert shell demonstration. The rest of the design I'm gonna do on assembling the electronics, and we'll go from there. Thanks for watching, everybody. All right. All right, so now that we have the heat set inserts on the new 3D printed case, we need to remove the electronics from the old one. I already separated the glue and removed the back bezel so that we can start removing things. You can kind of see that the glue is so strong that it damaged the 3D printed case. It snapped all the way down this line. I couldn't actually get it open. So the super glue works great holding everything together. It's not great for repairability. So let's start to disassemble this thing. You can kind of see all the components. You can also see that the support snapped off of the carriage. Everything else looks okay though. All the cables, they look okay. Battery looks okay. I think we're fine. Now I have some options. First, I may want to install all of the lettering first, just because I think if I try and do it after the fact, it might be really difficult. I'm going to put these screws in here, just have everything together. The other thing is I need to make sure that this fits flush. It's pretty close now, but I think there's an edge here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. That feels good. So there's that. I need to install the tripod mount. This can come out. So I think what I'm going to do is disassemble this and then keep the back on so that I can do the lettering flat. Because right now the screw, I guess I could just take out that screw right now and then do the lettering. Let's do that. All right, now let's remove the screw. So okay. Now when I flip it over, now it's a flat surface to do the lettering with. Not perfect, but I think it's good. Always close your super glue. Now, the tedious part. So all of these little letters should fit into this, into here, but because they're not quite perfect, you have a little bit of problems fitting them. So I just take them one at a time and I remove them from their brim as best as I can. So, and we'll do a little time lapse of this so you don't have to watch me glue each one of these down. All right, time lapse now. All right, lettering complete. That always takes a ridiculous amount of time, but it makes the camera look so much better than just a flat black. All right, now that everything is glued and all the lettering is glued, we can start to open this up and install the components. All right, so I'm going to install the Raspberry Pi first with the battery management board. Start by going to be
These are not threaded inserts. So these are screwing directly into
the plastic. So the idea here is that there's enough tension on the board to keep these in place. I can actually back off some of these just a little bit once everything is in place. So you can see that everything's mounted in now, and it's not going anywhere. Oh, that one's a little loose. Yeah. Good. Okay. It's that. These are gonna go like that. I just want to make sure that there's space. Oh, yeah. Battery movable. Just want to make sure the battery's movable and it's not going to get scratched by those pins. But these, do they go under like that? Ah, there we go. So these are going to go there. All right, so that's the bulk of the electronics. The next piece is the camera and the carriage. So, not sure if I should play with this back focus ring at all. It would give me some more options with the other piece. So I have the focal reducer lens. So if I put this farther out, I can actually create a much larger sensor. It's just a problem of will it interact with the sensor or the lens. So the purpose of this is to adjust that depth. And as long as I don't go, as long as I'm not tightening it down, because I could tighten this all the way down, and that looks pretty good, but then it does make it look a little bit bigger if I screw this out. Like, compared to, let's try and get a, so that's the sensor with the focal reducer, and that's without. So, quite a large difference actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tighten this down. I'm going to tighten this one down. Because really what all this does is allows me to take this out and swap in, come on, swap in another lens. So now it does rotate with that, so I would need to have this all the way down. So I'm not sure. Maybe I mean, I can take this all apart again, so it's not like I can't fix it. It's just I would have to set this up. Get the lens in. Maybe before I close it all up. I'll play with this some more. Maybe I'll just go up. I'll go there. That seems like a reasonable amount. I mean, that's like the amount that I like screw it out normally. So, and then when I tighten down this screw, it's the biggest thing is I need to make sure that I leave enough room so that this thing doesn't back focus. So I'll just let's set it there. And there's a little one to tighten it down. That'll give me a little bit more room. And I think this can rotate quite a bit down. So yeah, that's quite a lot. Okay, that's a little bit better, less wiggle. Yeah, there we go. Oh, beauty. So we don't, this thing isn't moving, but at least these are moving freely. Okay, that's good news. Now I just have to figure out if this thing is actually touching that. Let's get... I don't think so. I don't think they're touching. Let's see how much clearance I actually have, though. Wow. Let's get... So I can use some of this 3M tape to just cut a little square. That I'm going to put over the top of this 3M screw. So what that's going to do is, if it is now touching, which I hope it is not, we should feel some resistance. Nope. Feels great. Perfect. No resistance. Nothing pressing into it. Okay, good. I'm not sure if I'm going to leave that there. I don't see the harm. And then it's not going to short any contacts. Yeah. Well, I actually have to take it off. Because in order to assemble this thing, I actually have to take this apart. But now I don't have to... I was a little worried I was going to have to glue this cap onto here if there wasn't sufficient clamping force. So now we can assemble this, because these pieces actually need to go first. All right. That's great. Very low friction. It's a little bit of wobble, but hopefully that'll come out in the wash. Pretty good deflection. All right, so that's that. This can go in here, like so. So now I actually need to put in the screen. Actually, I should do the screen first before I put any of this other stuff together. So the way that the screen works is it goes like this. It's only got a couple little mounting points. So once it does go in, there is a bezel that fits on the outside. This bezel fits a lot better than the previous bezel I had. Not sure if I want to glue this bezel down again, or I might have a might have another option for the bezel, so that can come after. But I need to cut some squares or triangles for this. So let's do that. So it's pretty tedious swapping these shells. Hopefully I don't need to do that again. But if I did need to this time, everything's all, no super glue. So no super glue means a lot easier repairs. Something breaks, I don't have to print a whole new thing. I just have to replace the part that broke. It's much better. And we're gonna drop this in. So I think what actually happens here is how the bezel fit previously, but you see now it's really loose. And I think that's just because when you do actually mount this thing, the double stick tape prevents a good prevents it from sitting at the correct height. See, it's a little bit raised. I don't want to break it, so. So, well, it's a little bit better now. Okay, that's good. So my plan for this is actually to use some of this electronics double stick tape. This stuff is thin, so I can place it along the outside and it's really sticky. So that's my plan for this, because I really hated super gluing this bezel down. Made a mess of things. So, all right, let's set that. We're gonna set that off to the side for now. Do a little cleanup. Because now I want to add the metal mount to this. So I'm actually going to tip this over. I'm going to remove the carriage so I don't get any weird stuff happening. Flip it over. It doesn't. Wish it sat a little bit nicer. Actually, what I can do is I can put these shells together without the sensor carriage. And what I can do is use it as mounting board. Come on. Oh, now you don't want to go together. Okay. That's too hard right now. So what we're going to do So I think what I'm going to do is instead of, I'll do the metal mount after I've got all these things set down, because I think it's going to be too difficult to do otherwise. All right, I need to remove this sticky tape. Okay. This sticky tape here is so that the ribbon cable doesn't pop out, because I've had it pop out before, and it is no fun. Right, that's gonna go in here. All right, so I double checked, and this is the correct position. Everything else seems to be okay. We just need to place some double stick tape on here. For those, I'm going to use this. Oh, actually, I need to do the battery. Well, I need to do the battery, so that's gonna slide. Nope. That's not gonna go anywhere. So I'm gonna put a little piece of double stick tape underneath it, because I'm not taking out the Raspberry Pi again. That's too much work. That way, it's just gonna prevent it from sliding around anywhere. But it'll be easy to remove. All right. That's all the pieces. So now I need to, one of the big things with the, so the USB is a little funny because it actually needs to get threaded through here, and there's not really a whole lot of room for it. So it's kind of finicky and it's a pain in the butt, but hey, otherwise we wouldn't get USB. So the way it works is I put some mounting tape on this side and I put some mounting tape on this side and force it to stick between these two locations here. So let's try and thread it through. Come on. Nope, I don't think it's gonna work. Unless I go under. Under, and then, nope. Not gonna work. All right, well, the other option is to remove, this whole assembly, get the thing on, and then put it back. I really don't want to do that. Wait. I knew there was a way to do it. So then this scooches back like that, and we mount the USB stick like so. So let's make sure there's enough slack there. And I believe it works like, let me get the USB stick. We actually need to use that. Because there needs to be enough room for it to sit. So this is kind of on the top, back half. Now this one I like to use a lot of mounting tape because it's going to want to move, and I don't want it to move. And it's kind of a pain, so we don't want it to ever move. Well, I just snapped this. I mean, it's not structural, but it does mean that these pieces aren't going to fit very well now. But that's not the end of the world. We have our camera. This I'll probably leave open just because it's so hard to get a mechanical switch in here and to be able to access these ports with a 3D printed cover. I might make a... I mean, it's probably better to if I put a hatch or something there. But yeah, okay, so now let's test the sensor adjustment. Oh, for that. So now we can go... All right, that's its deepest. And we can go all the way forward. So now that I'm seeing this, when we have our filter mount, this is way too close. I mean, it's going to be backed up for the Leica sensor, but or for the Leica lens. But otherwise, this looks really nice. I'm going to push this all the way up so that I can heat set the screws that go to this. I thought about, oh, what was that? Huh. I thought about gluing this, but I think I'm not going to do that. If anything, I would put some of that double stick tape, and we'll just see. Maybe I'll bring that stuff with me. So let's do this. So I'm going to use my soldering iron, but I'm not going to use the tips that come with the other heat set inserts. I'm just going to do it with the soldering iron tip. And that's because the other ones are too big. And it worked previously, so. So what I do is I make sure the tip is super duper clean because I don't want any solder. So now that should be really, really on there. So that's that. I think it's time for us to power it on and just make sure all of the pieces still work. Gonna back the sensor out. A little wobble. I'm gonna grab a lens. Yep, solid. All right, so we have the lens. Come on. Hey, we have life on the screen. Now we're just waiting for it to boot. All right, we've got boot. Waiting for the camera to come up. We've got, oh, there we go. We've got our camera. It's back. Cool. So, the camera's working. That's good news. Our transplant was successful. Now what I need to do is add the bezel, put in the screws to hold everything together. Oh, why is that so wobbly? Oh, is that not? And I think the switch is a little wobbly, so I'll need to maybe add a little double stick tape to keep it in. But other than that, I think we're good to go. Over and out.